Welcome back, Helldivers. It's good to see you again. The Master of Ceremonies, Warbond, has been released and has come as a mixed bag in terms of what players like. While I won't be covering the full depth of the Warbond in this video, I will be going over the R-2 Amendment Marksman Rifle and cover the pros and cons and whether it's really as bad as many players state. So, let's find out. So, the R-2 Amendment is a marksman rifle with a similar design to the Constitution, but faster firing and has a better overall stat. This can be gotten for 35 medals from the Warbond and is one of the first things you can buy on the main page. Now, take a look at the stats. We have the following: a damage rate of 200, a fire rate of 480, capacity of 20, a recoil 29, a reload speed of 3.45 seconds, and armor penetration being light. And now, the R2 Amendment seems to be a weapon that many of the community felt was going to be a bigger and better version of the Constitution marksman rifle, but came out as a less performative weapon to rally around. Against the bugs, bots and illuminates in terms of deadly fire rate it provides, it does fairly well against them. Ideally, the more weaker enemies like the voteless, fodder and troopers, it can easily dispatch them within 1 to 2 shots. Taking on the medium armoured enemies like the overseers and devastators, it can also put up a good fight against them as long as you focus on the main weak points, or in case of the overseers, focus on their main chest area to break their armor and then leave them exposed for the follow-up shots. But that's where his damage seems to end, as we'll struggle to damage against the medium and heavy enemies for longer durations. And even when it's used in higher difficulties, it will come to a point where the weapon is non-operable for many engagements. Breaking this down even more, because of its limited ammo but high damage, it can be very handy against the light to medium armor enemies, and since you have a total of 20 in the magazine and 6 capacity overall, you can deal with waves of enemies fairly easily. Of course, the downside of using this against the bugs is generally how fast they can overwhelm you, and put you in a bad spot to where melee or sidearm usage will be required. Even if that is the case, I still wouldn't recommend it, as bugs up close are a pain to deal with at times unless you have some way to counter them quickly. Against the bots, the weapon, just like most marksman weapons, does amazingly when using it to focus on where their key weak points are. While it lacks medium rounds, its precision and precise accuracy within medium ranges is what makes the weapon and its weapon type acceptable against them. Using this against a troop all the way to Devastator, for example, it can one-shot them smoothly via headshot, but against a Hulk is where I would not cross the line. And then against the Luminous, it's similar to how it feels to use against bugs, where using this against the Voteless will easily decimate them in 1 to 3 shots. Against the Overseers, it will also take them down fairly well via body shots, but does require a near full magazine to down just one, and anything after that is where the weapon performance will stop being noticeable, especially against the flesh mobs. Now, the weapon has a single and burst fire mode, although the burst fire feels useless as it can fire much faster than what the burst provides. It also comes with 3 scopes of 25, 75 and 150 meters. And then lastly, it also comes with a built-in bayonet, which has a 110 worth of damage to targets, so it comes fairly packed for medium and close range encounters. Now, as its recoil comes to a 29 and suffers from low accuracy, it will have a bit of a kick to it as shown in the recoil sim. As we don't have options to tighten its recoil pattern, you can see that firing the weapon leaves the weapons unpredictable with the shots it lands. However, I would say this doesn't mean much when used within a 5 to 50 meters, as after that, that's where the weapon will then fall off and suffer quite a bit. When it comes to penetration levels, it comes with a 2, which means anything with little to no armor will be fine for the weapon to deal with. But its bayonet will come with a level 3, which can take on medium armor as well if need be. And then lastly, it seems to lack any sort of stagger, which can be extremely harmful when dealing with aggressive enemies, and does put a damper as to how good the weapon can overall perform in most missions. Now, while comparing the weapon to the Constitution, this will be the correct play here, as is a simple updated version of the latter. However, it actually shares more in common with the Diligence than anything else, and with good reasons. Taking a look at the stats, the R2 Amendment has a wide advantage when it comes to fire rate and damage compared to the Diligence, while the Diligence holds 5 more within its capacity and also has better recoil control, which can be beneficial when focusing on more precision shots. While this may look like the R2 Amendment is the clear winner for overall stats, the Diligent comes out on top simply because of the customization options, or more so, a lack of customization options when using the amendment over the Diligence. As shown, The amendment only has optics as its customizable option, which means you can't fix its recoil or ergonomic control itself as fun. The diligence, on the other hand, has options for scopes, muzzle, underbarrels, etc. for customization, which means you can fix some of the underlying issues the weapon has and overall make it better for overall use. This alone pretty much beats the amendments when being used in combat, as having a smooth firing rifle is better than having a shaky rifle outside of the medium to close ranges. The amendment is a decent working marksman rifle that does fairly well in close to medium range fights, and this trade-off of having a higher fire rate over accuracy allows such a weapon to be pretty dominant in this field. However, this trade-off does hurt the weapon over long ranges, which other marksman rifles can easily adjust to, and does leave the weapon stallingly behind just to keep up. It also lacks the ability to stagger, and struggles with improving its ergonomics in any way or form, which, if given the opportunity to use any other marksman rifle in our collection, I would choose something better straight away. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun weapon to use, but I did hope for something a bit more from it, that was simply a more upgraded version of the Constitution, if even possible. So there we have it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any thoughts on content shared, or genuinely like what's shown, then please leave a like, a comment and subscribe for more future stuff. It was great seeing you all again, Helldivers, and I hope to see you again soon.